The goal was to balance the need to remember, because we should never forget those who perished have to be remembered in a different way. This is no longer just a piece of land you can build whatever you want. This is kind of a sacred ground. But at the same time, I wanted to create a New York which is a fantastic city that is full of optimism, celebration, a city that will not be swayed by this tragedy to a kind of dark register. So to keep the balance between memory and forging forward into a 21st century New York, that was the goal, and reaffirmation of life.
Each of the architects that are designing parts of the master plan took inspiration from the site itself and also took direction from the master plan. One World Trade Center is the tallest of all of the buildings. The height of the building is 1,368 feet, which is the same height as the original Twin Towers. But on top of that building is an antenna that takes it to the symbolic 1,776 feet, which of course is the year of America's independence.
The key word was life, the victory of life. The terrorists could have destroyed the building, but they did not destroy life. On the contrary, New York affirmed its life. And with the memory of what that life really means, and with all the symbols of liberty, of freedom, of the things that we often take for granted. So the site has come back as a resurgence of New York.
Two World Trade Center is designed to acknowledge and respect the footprints of the Twin Towers below. No matter where you are in the New York region, when you look at Two World Trade Center, you can orient yourself to the World Trade Center site. You will always know where the footprints of the Twin Towers stood, where the Memorial Plaza stands today.
I wasn't just thinking of people who will work in the towers, but what would it mean, to my own mother and father who used to be working in the sweatshops of New York? They would never be in those buildings. What are the streets like? That's why I distributed, the big density of which was in 2 buildings, into 5 buildings. Make them lower, make them safer, make the streets better, make the streets more interesting to be in, not overshadowed with high-rise buildings.
3 World Trade Center, designed by Richard Rogers, is a much more industrial-looking building. A lot of the external cross-bracing is on the outside of the glass, and it's not hidden behind the glass as in conventional office buildings. It's also perpendicular to the site. It's right next to, in between the 2 memorial pools. And 4 World Trade Center rounds out that spiral of buildings. When Daniel Libeskind created his master plan, he envisioned a spiral of office buildings that would mimic the torch of the Statue of Liberty. And these buildings would descend in height and envelope and protect the Memorial Plaza.
And then, of course, the Wedge of Light Plaza, which I just mentioned, is a new entrance, also public entrance, defined by the 2 hours of the attack, 8:46 a.m. when the first tower was struck, and 10:28 when the second tower collapsed, which is the center of the PET terminal. So we have symbolism also in the light of New York.
The train station is quite unlike any of the buildings. In fact, it's quite unlike anything else in New York City. It's very much a Santiago Calatrava building, but it was designed to be the gateway to this new World Trade Center and also a gateway to the new Lower Manhattan.
Viscerally, you can't be anywhere else but be there, because when you stand there, you'll feel gravity in a different way. You'll feel your temperature in a different way. You'll see New York in a different way. And I think it's going to be a very, very inspiring view. I think everyone in New York wants to see this as an inspiring site, as a site that is practical, that works, that is rebuilt, but also a site that connects people, that brings people together. And I think that's its great virtue. It's for New Yorkers, and I think it has that quality of New York because of its variety, because it creates a civic interconnection, because it connects neighborhoods, and because it speaks also to the skyline in a new way, not as a solitary, here's one building, but as a composition of buildings, as a neighborhood. And I think that's very New York.